Hopefully he forgets the Chanukah was Chanukah. He's wrapped up in something. He's not going to remember the call. So basically, what did we say? We said it wasn't the goal of the share, but that's what happens. We get stuck. But it's important insight. There's this insight that maybe the whole machlekes Shammai and Hillel and Kol Terakula, all the machlekes is literally this machlekes. And this machlekes of Chanukah, whether you count up to Nisim or down, is Hillel sees. I can literally set it up for you now. Listen to this. Two opposite worldviews. Hillel would say the worst thing in the world is koyich to the adi. Is your ego. You think you did it yourself. Let go and just trust Hashem. And let Hashem do nisim. And if you count 1 day, 2 days, 8 nisim, slowly watch Hashem do nisim, bigger and bigger nisim. And Shammai says fakert that you need nisim. You need nisim to know that Hashem has your back. But the goal is to slowly feel safe enough and wean yourself off nisim that at the end of Hanukkah you can go do it yourself. So what is it and that's why Shammai holds you count down and Hillel holds you count up. It's huge. And the maskana is pretty cool. It's that we know we paskin like Hillel because people are too soft. But in Elam Haba, the halach is like Shammai. Meaning that you have to figure out what you do with that. But yeah, which means what? It means that the emes is that your Olam Haba is depending on what you did yourself. Your Olam Haba depends on what you did yourself. But if you tell everybody, this is the catch-22. So why is the halacha like Beis Hillel here? If the halacha is like Beis Shammai and Olam Haba, so isn't that the real world? You want Olam Haba, so you want to earn it yourself. Olam Haba is you eat what you made here. You don't get your tzedakah cases here. Only the things you earned, the things that you worked on. So then why are we doing everything like Beis Hillel in this world? The answer is sad but simple. What's the answer?
So don't
it? Yeah. No. It's true, but everybody would just quit. It's too hard. It's like,
How does that make sense? Rosh Hashanah made a world that's too hard to live optimally? Like the perfect...
Which brings me to the shir. Good. That question is exactly the shir I wanted to give. Maybe this is why it had to happen. Hopefully I'll have time to say it. I'll do a very quick version of it. The quick version is like this. I'm not going to do it inside. I'm going to read it inside, but we don't have time to do it the way I wanted to do it properly. But if you have a chance, look at it. It's 2 psukim. Adam and Chava eat from the tree. Okay, and here's what it says. Vatipakachna einei shneim. Their eyes were opened.
We're reading Perek Gimel?
Perek Gimel, yeah. Okay? Right after they eat from the tree.
Actually, Zion.
She gave Gamla Isha Ima Vayochal. Chava gives also to her man with her, and he eats. Both of their, pay attention clearly. Everyone thinks they know the story. The story is not the way you think it went down. Their eyes of both of them were open. V'yedu ki yerumheim, and they realized, they knew that they were naked. Vayispru alei te'ena. They sewed fig leaves, vayasem chagoyros, and they made for themselves belts. Vayishmu es koil Hashem elokim esachim, and then they hear the voice of Hashem walking in the garden. L'ruach hayoim, whatever that means, by the spirit of the day. They heard the voice of Hashem walking in the garden. Vayischabe ha'odam ve'ishtoi b'fnei Hashem elokim. Adam and his wife went to hide b'soich eitz hagan, amongst the trees. They went into the bushes to hide. Vayikra Hashem Elokim el Adam. Hashem calls to him and he says, Vayeka. He says, Vayeka, where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden and I got scared because I'm naked and I went to hide. And Hashem says, Mi higid l'chaker. Who told you that you're naked? Did you eat from the tree? He goes, yeah. Everyone knows the rest of the story. So that's the story. The same story you heard? Yeah. So, but the problems are subtle. The way we heard the story is they eat from the tree, they're naked, they're ashamed, they're embarrassed, they go to hide, and then they sew themselves fig leaves and make belts so that they can come out of the bushes. They're not naked anymore. Right? That's the way we learned the story. What? You never heard any of this?
Too much time.
What? You never heard this? You never heard of the fig leaves and the belts? You never saw a picture of Adam and Chava wearing fig leaves?
I've seen the picture, but I didn't know.
You didn't know why they're wearing fig leaves?
I didn't know before.
It's based off the Bible.
Meaning they didn't realize themselves. Oh, we're naked.
Well, in the beginning it says, "Well, Yushneim Aruvim below Yushvei." They were both naked and not embarrassed. I should have read that first.
I guess it was.
When they ate from the tree, then they became naked and embarrassed.
Why is that?
You got the knowledge.
That's what we're about to
No, they
discuss.
always were naked. They get the knowledge to realize that they're naked.
They were naked and embarrassed.
Where did the humiliation come from?
This naked and not embarrassed, and naked and
That was
embarrassed.
his knowledge, right?
Well, that's a different share. We did that share. We didn't do it. We did that share.
I was scared.
No time. Okay. So, but for now, whatever. Beforehand, they were innocent. Little children are naked and not embarrassed. Also, they don't chop. There's no guilt or shame.
That's the reason?
That's the reason.
It's from innocence or it's
Or
from...
was it
Shame.
from because
Shame.
that's the way we're the only two people there? That's
Well,
the way it is.
There's still no two people here.
Well, here after they ate, nothing changed in that sense.
Yeah, everything's the
The
same.
only thing changed, they ate it. Something must have happened in the brain.
That's what
their
I
cheer.
figured out.
Yeah, that's a shame. It's important. So that's how I want to get to now. And I want to get to a subtle part. The way we normally, I guess, at least me, the way I normally assumed the story was, is that they ate from the tree and they were embarrassed and ashamed, and that's why they made the belts, and now they can walk around, right? And then the story continues that Hashem said, "You eat from the tree. Why are you hiding? Why were you ashamed?" And they said, "Because did you eat from the tree?" He goes, "Yeah, we ate from the tree." The woman, he says, "The woman that you gave me, she gave me to eat." He blames it on her. Whatever Hashem punishes them, you're going to have childbirth pains. You're going to have to work by the sweat of your brow when you eat, all the curses. And then Hashem makes them kosnois or vayal bishem. Hashem makes them garments of or, of skin, of animal skins, and He dresses them. Hashem makes. So the big kasha I always had was, why did Hashem have to give them kosnois or? They already they already made clothing. They made belts of fig leaves. So why did Hashem have to give them kosnois or? That's the kasha. So another kasha that I have, when you read it, you'll realize, and the answer is the second kasha, is that I thought that they were naked. They ate from the tree and they felt naked and ashamed, so they made belts. They ate. The order was, I thought, everyone thinks, that they ate from the tree, they feel ashamed, they go to hide, and then they make belts so that they can come out of the bushes. But really the story says the opposite. They ate from the tree, they realize they're naked, they made belts, and then they go to hide. They heard the voice of Hashem only after the belts, and then they go hide. So normally we assume that the fig leaves were meant to cover their shame, and that they could walk around. But if you look in the psukim, they only went to hide after the belts. So what do you see? The belts didn't work. The belts didn't work, right? That's why Hashem had to give them clothing. The belts, they were hiding. They still felt naked.
Why are they so embarrassed? They don't do go normal.
No, the shame is with God. They can't face God. Obviously, they can't face God. They feel
So
like
why were they embarrassed until Hashem spoke to them? Until He spoke.
they weren't embarrassed. So that's the problem. That's my kasha. I thought that they were embarrassed, and then they made fig leaves to
But
get
you're
out of
saying
hiding.
separate. You're saying the point that the fig leaves didn't help. What I'm saying is, you should have been embarrassed until Hashem could greet them. Until then, they shouldn't care. But they cared naked.
Well, they knew there's a God, you know.
No, I know they knew there's a God. They clearly knew, but until
They went to hide only after they saw Hashem. They heard Hashem in the garden.
Oh, okay. So there's not just the fig leaves because Hashem spoke.
Yeah,
Also,
but
the fig leaves didn't
why
work.
didn't the fig leaves work?
Separate.
Right. Meaning the order of the story is they ate from the tree, they made fig leaves, then they hear the voice of Hashem in the garden and they go hide. So it seems that the fig leaves were worthless. And that's why Hashem has to give them clothing. Fine.
Maybe they were
But then-
enough. Maybe they're enough between each other, not enough for Hashem.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what they're enough for. That's the kasha. The kasha is, the main kasha is so the kasha is so what was their havamina? If the fig leaves didn't work, that Hashem had to give them clothing, fine. It makes sense why Hashem gave them clothing, because the fig leaves didn't work. But why they make them then? What was the havamina to make fig leaves?
So I'm saying they're enough between.
Okay, so you're saying
wearing
it-
underwear. I'm not just
You're saying it there. Okay, let's ask. Let's see if that's a good answer now. Let's flesh it out. Let's talk about what the fig leaves are. First of all, What did they make out of the fig leaves? By Yisperu, they sewed fig leaves, alei te'ena, leaves of figs, vayasu lehem chagoyros, and they made belts. Can I ask a question? What exactly do belts cover?
They hold up the clothes.
Doesn't say that. Doesn't say there was any clothes, any loincloth, any. It just
I don't
says
think
belts.
Right.
You have two naked people wearing belts, right? We made assumptions. It makes no sense, but you have no right to assume
Is that why
anything.
Hashem
Is
made them
it-
the clothing?
What?
That's why Hashem made them the clothing?
They went to hide afterwards. Now we know why they went to hide.
Well,
They
once
weren't-
wearing their belts, they weren't embarrassed anymore?
Well, no, that's my kasha is they only got embarrassed after the belt, but now we know why, because it was just belts. They're
it's a
worthless.
Hamina.
So what's the Hamina? What was the purpose of belts? Like, and we understand now a lot of things. Why it didn't work. Duh. We also understand why Hashem made them clothing, because it didn't work. So the only question is what were they thinking? Right?
Do they know what they were embarrassed about?
What's everyone coming here? It's like free Wi-Fi here. I think we found the weak link in Lakewood over here. I think we're onto something.
Oh, there's a men's day program over there,
Oh, really?
and they compliments
Ah,
Where?
in the shul.
there's a shul here.
Where's the gym?
Gym's inside the office.
There actually is a gym.
I have to give you guys a bracha. Choshev b'ksherim.
Well, I used to have Wi-Fi here for
Yeah,
drinks.
for both.
Not so different.
What?
Could be here for both. It's
No,
2025.
no, Baruch Hashem.
It's almost 26 already.
Okay, yes. So you hit the kasha. Kasha is so here's the
Well, do they know what they're embarrassed of?
What?
They just knew they were embarrassed. Do they know what the feeling was, what the cause was?
I guess so. If you're embarrassed, yeah.
Maybe they tried
They
that,
probably-
they weren't sure.
But why? What is the havamina that a belt will work? What is the havamina? So here's the idea. Did I ever discuss this question with you? Like every modern Orthodox person in the world, when they want to mess with Lakewood, they say like what do you with the filters and no smartphones, flip phones? Why don't you just teach kids? Everyone's going to see everything. You can't stop people. You're living in a dream world. Just teach kids how to deal with seeing something inappropriate after they saw it, rather than trying to prevent it. You're never going to be able to stop people from not seeing things. It would be much better chinuch is to teach kids how to deal with having seen something inappropriate. It's good kasha, no? But you can't let them get away with it because they're haters, right?
We touch upon this
I
one.
mean,
This is
Lakewood
really-
Acres, I don't-
Did we touch
that's-
on
What?
build bridges or?
What?
Is really that in Lakewood Acres?
Most of the world, what are you talking about?
It doesn't exist anymore.
Wait, this is
Lakewood
the one,
Acres is
yeah.
called-
Yeah, is this more?
It's a sick question though.
Yeah, it is a question I heard also.
Yeah.
So the answer is like this. Here's the answer. The answer is that we don't really believe. You're creating a straw man. We don't believe that we're going to stop anybody from seeing things forever. That's not our point. Everyone knows that everyone ends up seeing everything. Come on, everybody ends up seeing everything. That's not. We don't. You're painting us like you think that we're living in some la la land. No, we know that everyone sees everything. But the point is that when you see something inappropriate, you feel shame. You feel like a cop out. Well, I should explain that. Shame is the feeling you feel when you cop out. That's what shame is. If you want to figure out what shame is, think about it. Shame is the feeling you feel when you didn't live up to what you wanted. You took a shortcut. My classic marshal I always use when I talk about this is, you come to Masada, there's always one guy in every group who takes the cable car rather than climb. You know, and on the top he has to fake it like he really climbed everybody else. But you feel guilty. You know, you feel, because you didn't really do it. Anything you did in your life that was a fraud, that was a shortcut, that you had sold out. So when you were 8, so what's
What you think of a fraud, not what is a fraud.
what do you think? Whatever you believe that you should have been, when you're your own judge. Shame is you're your own judge. In the bezin of your mind, you're failed. That's the coolness of shame. Is that it's just based on what you really believe. You're your own judge. I don't mean shame in front of other people. I mean shame between you and the silence.
You and feel.
You and your
how you
own
feel.
mirror. How you feel. How you feel. It's a very deep thing. You had a few options, and you picked the cheap one, not the one you wanted to, not the one you dreamt of. That's what shame is. If that's the case, if that's what shame is, I lost my train of thought again. I know where I'm going, but I want to do something. I wanted to have a stop somewhere else on the way. But okay, shame is the feeling that you copped out. So what is the gateway the shame. What's the first shame for most people? What's most people's first cop out? Kids don't cop out. Kids are the opposite. They want the most. They want more minutes of recess. They want to play more ball. They wake up. As soon as they're up, they don't want to go to sleep. They want to get up as soon as it's light. Kids are on fire. For most people, their first cop out is inappropriate. Is Shmir Sinai. Shmir Sinai is because what happens is the first shame, real shame. The first real shame is how does it work? Why is it a cop out? Shmir Sinai. Because when you were 8 years old, you wanted to kill a dragon and get a princess. You were jumping off the furniture with a towel tied around your neck. You were going to save the world. You could fly. You're going to be a hero. We dream of being heroes. Every boy on Purim is something with a gun, a sword, or a cape. These are universal things. You want to be a hero. You want to be the guy who kills the dragon. What's a hero? A hero is the guy who kills the dragon and gets a princess. You want shleimus. That's the dream. And now, what do? You clicked on something and you saw everything you ever wanted to see. You didn't kill any dragons, you didn't do anything. You feel like a total fraud. The cable car to the top of Masada. And you feel ashamed. Like I didn't deserve this, I didn't earn it. The second that you have something that you want without earning it, you feel shame. That's what shame is. For most people, their gateway drug to shame, the first shame, is Shmir Sinai. And that's why we're so into Shmir Sinai. Because what happens is it destroys you. You see, all your future averas come from that shame. Once you feel shame, now you feel like a bum. You lose your whole fire and your whole confidence, and now you schlep your way through life. You can always tell when a kid saw his first pop-up on his screen from the virus that his father got on the computer. You know? Right? You can always tell which day, because that's the day before is like the last kid out in recess. Like, Rabbi, one more shot, please, Rabbi, you said 5 more minutes, Rabbi, one more shot. That's healthy. The day he saw his first thing is he doesn't find a drug anymore. You know, he's not like, he's missing that whole bounce. Like he's not even going to recess. Maybe he's going to the library. You know, trying to see that book about who knows what. Maybe there's like a National Geographic in there. You know, but like that's the day that most people's lives really change. Is your first the shame. That's your Eitz Hadas day. The Eitz Hadas day is the first time you copped out. Now, when you copped out, which was the shit we gave last week, right? We spoke about last week how eating from the tree was the cop out. We didn't go to
level.
I didn't go to the steps, and therefore they felt shame. Now it makes sense why they felt shame, right? Because they ate the rice. They went to when you go to a shmog and you eat rice instead of waiting in line for the pastrami, it's a cop out. You feel shame.
What a close have to do with that.
It's part of the end of the belt.
Oh, so close. Oh, so that was good.
Right, I understand.
So that's good. So that, but now we know what shame is. I have to explain shame. So shame is the feeling that you're a cop out. Shame is the feeling that you copped out. So now, so how do you deal with the shame? So there's 2 ways to deal with shame. Oh, so I didn't explain what the answer to the. So what we say to the modern Orthodox people is, we know that we know you're not going to stop people from seeing things, but when a kid experiences shame, it ruins his life. It runs right through his personality, and he feels like a loser. And now he loses his whole fire. What we know is that if you can delay that until he made a siyam on Makis, learning with his father a whole summer after camp, and he finished Makis over the summer, and the father went out and took him out to eat, and they made a siyam. The kid feels like a hero now. And if he
Why?
sees,
It's not smart to teach how to when the shame
hold
comes,
on,
how to fight it.
hold on. Because now when he sees something inappropriate, so now he has another voice in his personality that says, I'm not a loser. I finished Makis. If you could delay his shame 1 more year, now he finished Bava Kama. And now, when he sees something inappropriate, he says, I'm a bum. He goes, no, I finished Bava Kama. You know how many prokim Bava Kama is, right? It's 119 blot and hard. And if you could delay it 1 more year, did he finish his Bava Metzia? So now he sees something inappropriate. It's that's pretty bad, but I finished Bava Kama. If you could last till Bava Basra, then the guy could mop me like he does something embarrassing and goes, no. That was yesterday. Weiter. We know that you're going to see inappropriate things, but make sure that the guy has some wins under his belt first. In the secular world, when you expose someone to something, when there's no answer to busha, the busha runs through your personality unchecked. The wisdom of the Haredi world is the knowledge that how shame works, and the way you want to delay the shame until the person has significant accomplishments. Imagine if you could delay it till the guy started his own business. He made simas and mesechtos, he doesn't miss a tefillah, and he's making millions of dollars. And now he sees inappropriate things. It's like not even a speed bump. It's like, I'm a hero. I work hard. I did this. I get stuck. I built mices. No. You want to build confidence, and that's our mahalach. We don't believe we're going to keep anyone from seeing things. We understand how the mind works. They don't get it. Their kids are all destroyed because they show kids things. And what's the only way to teach you how to deal with it afterwards? How do you teach someone how to deal with it afterwards? What's the only way to help somebody overcome a shame when he has no answer to the shame because he didn't accomplish anything yet? He's a little kid. Only thing you can do is strip away the dignity of all this stuff and say it doesn't matter. Nothing special. Whatever. You can rob the whole world of its specialness. And then it's fine. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And they've ruined the whole world. They emasculated the world. They've made nothing means anything. That's why people want to get into deep feelings and these crazy head trips, these sick stuff. You can't imagine the stuff people watch on the internet. None of this vanilla stuff. Because to scratch any itch, you have to be like a sicko. Because they stripped all meaning from everything. Whatever. This is a very deep. This deserves to be a whole series of talks. But that's the aside. It sounds like a good kasha. It's a stupid kasha. The teretz is such a simple demonstration of the superiority of our understanding of the universe over theirs. You just don't get it. And the destruction of what you have to do to teach kids how to get over seeing something when you didn't have the patience to wait until they feel like a gibar. You know? This guy talking this year on one of my Zoom shiurim, the guy told me he has this non-Jewish guy in his office, and he was saying, I want to get my kid a smartphone, and he said, my rabbi just spoke about it. He goes, what did your rabbi say? And he said the whole shiur, one sentence. He says, don't get it for your kid till he has some real wins. You can make sure he has some wins first. He said the whole shiur, and the guy said, this guy's a very smart guy. He goes that's amazing. That's such great advice. He said, I just said it loud. I feel like I didn't even say it long enough. He said it in one sentence. He said the whole thing. Don't get it for make sure your kid has some wins. And the guy in the office got it. Because it's so obvious. You have some wins because everyone understands that that's the ultimate loss. They know it. Once you say you need some wins, the guy hears, there's a loss. You want to have some wins before you have a loss. Got it. And we saved one non-Jewish kid. The Lakewood people will fight me to the death for saying it, but the guy takes it. Guy, where easy. If all I had to do was Garrison instead of Kiriv, it's like whatever. It's like going to the gym, lifting 5 pound weights. Just guy, whatever. It's like Jews have such Yitzchakas. It's crazy. Whatever. It's very hard because Jews, we're angry. Whatever. It's cool that we're so hard. Anyways, so now. We wrap this in 3 minutes. We'll wrap this up. Doesn't look like he's calling. Okay. So here's the aside. What are belts? A belt doesn't cover anything. You know what a belt does? A belt says it's a metaphorical thing. It's that you did something wrong. You know what you do? You put on a belt. What does the belt do? It's a chatzitza. It says just because I did something wrong I'm ashamed doesn't mean it has to run through my whole personality. I keep it in check. I'm also good at the same time. A belt is it's leiv royas erva. It's like a gartel. It's to separate. A belt is putting a wall up so the immigrants from below your border don't make it into your mainland. You don't want your busha to invade your personality. So what it says is Adam and Chava realized they ate from the tree when they could quickly they went and they put on belts. Which means what? They made this distinction, don't let the shame run through my whole personality and check and destroy me. This is not my Torah. This is the famous Torah from Rab Nachman called Nakuda Tova. You heard of Nakuda Tova? What does it mean? Nachman says everyone has to find their Nakuda Tova. There's a part of you that is untouched, that is perfect and holy. And that little bit you can live off of. That Mechayev. You have to separate. Don't let the Ra invade and taint your Nakuda Tova. My only kasha of Nachman is why does Nachman call it Nakuda Tova? The Torah already calls it something. It's called Chagoros. Chagoros is this idea. It's a tourniquet to stop the bleeding. It's preserve your whole. Because if you have kedusha, then you can live off that kedusha. Okay.
That's what I mean.
That's what I mean. The belts. But what's the problem?
Why did it not work?
Why did it not work? So what does it sound like? It sounds like we have a raya from the Torah that Rab Nachman's wrong. They did an Avera, they put on belts, they preserved the Nakuda Tova, and then what they do? They went to hide right away. They get to hide. They heard the voice of Hashem, they go hide. So it didn't work. This whole Breslov Torah doesn't work.
No, why was that their shame? The shame should be that they actually did something wrong. Actually, Hashem said don't eat from
They did, but why do they have to go hide?
I'm not trying to figure out
Why
is
they
that
made belts?
shame?
The belts should have worked to say, we did something wrong. Okay, we'll deal with it. But I'm not going to ruin my rest of my life.
Right.
I'm not going to drop out of yeshiva because I did something wrong. I can still go to yeshiva tomorrow. That's the idea. Why are you going to hide? Why do you have to run? You saw your first inappropriate thing. Now you have to live the rest of your life outside J2? Like, why can't you go back to yeshiva? That's what happened. They ran to hide. That's what happened in Avera. You don't have to go to J2. Put on a belt. You're still a yeshiva bacher. You're a yeshiva bacher who saw something you shouldn't see. No. That's a Kuda Torah. But we see it doesn't work. They made their thing, and they still went to J2. So what's a teretz? Teretz is everything changes. We missed the whole boat all through. It's much, much deeper. If you think this is deep, it gets much deeper. There's something worse than shame. You know what's worse than shame? What's worse than shame is that when someone does something bad and they don't believe that they're good, they can't even feel shame. They have to go, it's all stupid. Brazenness. It's like Lloyd's daughters. They're with their father, they have a kid. What does she name her kid? Moyav. Like, wears a t-shirt that says, from my father. Like, that's doubling down. No shame. Because it's too late, you did it already. There's no cure for this. Do something as sick as that. Literally, what are your options? You can't even let yourself feel shame. There's something worse than shame. And most people live with that. Most people are not even ashamed. They're just like, just the eye roll, like shame. Weirdos, like, when you care. Like, here's what happens is when you do something wrong, you have to immediately put on belts. You know why? Hope I can say this good. I want to say it in 1 minute. I don't want to make it slip. When you put on the belt, now I know that I'm good. Now I can feel shame. Now I can let myself feel shame because I'm also good. The belt is what allows you to feel shame. It doesn't solve your shame. Here's how the story goes. If you do an Avera and you don't put on a belt, you can't even think about God. You can't think about religion. Here's the order. They did the Avera, they quickly put on belts, and then what happened? Then they hear the voice of Hashem in the garden. And they feel shame. It's the belts are what allowed them to hear Hashem because it's something, and they felt shamed. But that's already level 2. If they wouldn't put on the belts, they would never be able to even think about Hashem. They wouldn't be able to hear Hashem. The belts don't cure the shame. They allow the shame. They did an Avera, they put on the belts. And now I can hear the voice of Hashem. I'm afraid of Hashem. I'm embarrassed. Hashem, I let you down. But I'm only able to think of Hashem because I have something good.
If you're past the belt, how do you get to put on the belt though? Means
Before we get there, I want to finish the story. So now they put on the belts. Save your thought. Don't lose it. So now we understand. Now when they put on the belts, then now go through the story. They do an Avera. They quickly put on the belts, which separates their goodness. I'm good and I'm bad at the same time. Now I can hear Hashem, and now I'm ashamed. Now they went to hide, and now Hashem and then once you're able to have shame, and you're hiding from your shame, that means you realize that you're good, but you also have issues. Now you can fix it. And that's what it means that Hashem gives them real clothing. The cure for nakedness is clothing. There's two things. There's cosmetics or clothing. Clothing is tshuva for nakedness, is clothing. Belts don't cover it. Belts allow you to face your nakedness. And then Hashem gives them the clothing. So this is the Yisayim. People who complain about Breslov, they say, Nekuda Toiva or Rav Nachman's an enabler. He's just telling you don't have to do anything. Just go to Uman and you're fine. You have a Nekuda Toiva. That's not what he's saying. What's the purpose of a Nekuda Toiva? Is once you know that you're good, now I can face my Averis. And now I can experience shame. And I can deal with it. But if you don't know you have a Nekuda Toiva, then you can't think about your Averis. You have to be in denial. So it's literally the upside down world. The purpose of Chagoyros is not to solve the shame. It's to allow the shame, because now shame is not insurmountable. I let myself feel my emotions, and now I can become a tzaddik. You can't become a tzaddik to deal with your Avera, but you can't deal with your Avera till you know you're good. You got the whole story? So now the punchline is for Chanukah. What's the avoid of Chanukah? The entire avoid of Chanukah is to search. You have a few days left. You're halfway done. You have the last 4 days. You didn't do it the first 4 days because you didn't know, but now you know what your job is. Your job is to search for your goodness, to find your pach shem and tar. Everybody has that little flask of a little bit of pure oil that was never touched. And when you find that, that's your ticket. That'll last. That'll light up your whole life. You have to find your Nekuda Toiva. You have to put on your Chagoyros. This Chanukah is the nace is a mela. But the avoida before the nace, the real avoida is to put on the belts, which in Chanukah means to find your flask. I call this year finding your flask. Can you find your pach shem and tar? Can you find the part of you that's not corrupted? Because when you find that and you sit and you marinate in that part of you and you think about that part of you and you put it right in front of you and you look at it and you think about it, that will allow you to face all the parts of your life that you need to deal with. But you will never be able to face those parts until you find the Pach Shem and Tar. The Pach Shem and Tar will light up your whole Beis HaMikdash and your whole life will return to Kedusha. But first you have to find the Pach Shem and Tar. First you have to put on the Chagoyros and isolate the part of you that's Tar. And that's the real avoid of Chanukah, is that search. And look, the Maccabim, why they search for it? What's pshat in that? Like, everything's destroyed. They knew they're going to find it, because there always is a Pach Shem and Tar. There's a part of you that can't be touched. So you see that they search because they knew they're going to find it. You have to know that it's there. There's nobody with a Pach Shem that's untouched. The Chagoyros, the Tumah can only reach certain places. It's a different shmuz.
So how do you find that?
How do you find your Pach Shem and Tar?
The belt, how do they get to the point of putting it on? How do they find the Pach Shem?
So what's the nimshal? How do we do
It's
what's
very nice shmuz. How do you actually get to this
How do you
point?
get to this point? So first of all, the answer is really, really deep. You know what the answer is? When someone is there's a big desire to cop out. There's a big desire to say, I'm so bad, I'm too far gone, because that frees you from all application. And most people will live in that place. You'd be surprised, a lot of people live in that place. Right? We did that talk about the sheep, the black sheep and the white sheep. They said most people think that they're white. It's not true. Most people don't use bleach and think they're white. Most people think they're black. They say, Randy, I'm too far gone, just give up on me. Hashem, you don't know, like, I'm too far gone. Most people think they're all black. So that's most people's problem. So if you're living off of that yish, where you want to see some of that, so there's a part of you that you're scared to think about. Which part?
Good.
The good part. Because the good part is going to force you. So the avoida really is to go into your personality and go to places that you're afraid to look. You know exactly where they are. Most people think this is the deepest thing ever. Most people think with my closet's all my skeletons. It's the opposite. You know what's in the closet? In the closet's all those dreams you had when you were 8 years old and you wanted to be a tzaddik. And remember when you davened and you cried? Remember when whatever it is that you did, first time you went to a kever and you felt some stirring, and you went to the Christ. All those moments that you roll your eyes at, that you locked away in the closet, it's not skeletons. That's avodah. The avodah is you already have, everyone knows the chagayres. It's that closet, you know exactly which door you have to open, and we're afraid to open it. Because we don't want to come out of hiding. We like the free ride of having no dreams. So it's an upside down world. Everyone knows exactly where their Pach Shem and Tar is. Can you imagine the Maccabim was probably the same thing? The Maccabim was saying, we know where they kept the good oil. And we're just stalling to find it because we don't want to be busy with the space HaMikdash. You know, if we make pretend we don't find it. This is the unwritten story of the Maccabim. Okay, they win the war, and Matasyahu is searching, and the other guys go, you're going to tell them where it is? They all know where it is. And they're going, just wait 2 days, he's going to give up. And then we could all go to Athens and walk around naked with olive branches on our heads and just do all the stuff the Greeks are doing. Part of you just wants to throw in the towel and just be free. And even though they knew where the oil is, they didn't want to tell him. And there's always one guy who's on the spectrum who told Matasyahu, it's on the third shelf in the cabinet. And the other guy goes, I thought he died in the war. How did he survive? Nobody kept him. Who let him free? You know, there's that guy. And Matasyahu is all excited. Everyone's looking at him yeah, we're so happy. We're so happy we found that oil. Oh. There goes our trip to Cancun during winter break. Everyone's waiting for Shabbos Chanukah. Which beach do you want to go to your Shabbos Chanukah vacation? And then some yatz finds your Shem and Tar and reminds you that you wanted to be a tzaddik once upon a time. So that's the answer to your question. It's the heaviest answer ever, right? You know exactly which shelf and which cupboard. You know exactly where it is. You don't need my help. You just got to find what you need is the bravery to open that closet. All right, Sarah.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Good.
Heavy stuff.